In April of 2021 alone, over 4 million Americans quit their jobs. And the same sort of thing has been happening in Canada, the UK, Australia, and countless other countries as well. This trend has been dubbed the Great Resignation by economists, and it has loosely lined up with employers asking their workers to come back into the office. Now, lots of employers seem to think that the reasons for this are far more complex and nuanced than just people want to work at home, but that's what we're here to work out today. There has been a major, unexpected shift in our workplaces that has left everyone wondering just what the hell is going on. After a truly unique year, with unprecedented lockdowns, millions of unexpected deaths and record-breaking unemployment figures, something happened that no one expected. People quit their jobs. Today, we're going to explore the Great Resignation and what it means for workers. But really quickly, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel. We're putting out loads of videos just like this constantly that you don't want to miss out on. Over the past decade, working from home has been slowly gaining more and more traction. Technological advancements like the internet, personal computers, and video conferencing software like Zoom have been allowing more and more people to work remotely over the past few years. If we go back 50 years, the prospect of being in constant contact with your co-workers, having access to all the right information, all while never leaving your home would seem ludicrous. But the reason we can work from home today is because of the information revolution, basically the development of computers and the internet. But while this technology has actually been around for a while, support from corporations and bosses has lagged significantly. If you were to ask your boss if you could work full-time from home in 2019, you probably would have been laughed out of the room. But in 2020, working from home wasn't just encouraged, it was often demanded. Lockdowns from the virus varied in severity by state and by country, but almost everyone saw at least one lockdown to some degree, and many of us saw multiple. Almost overnight, employees had no choice but to let their workers work from home. They had no choice but to trust their workers to do the things that they were being paid to do, and while they may have lacked faith in the beginning, they were all proven wrong by the end of the year. If I asked you a year ago if you had heard of anyone working their bog standard office job from a beach in the Caribbean, the chances are you would have said no. But over the last year, it's become almost common to hear of someone who packed up and left, who moved somewhere where it's far cheaper to live, where the sun doesn't stop shining, and they didn't even need to look for a new job. And despite this change in the way we work, despite the huge increase in the number of people working from home, productivity hasn't actually decreased over the board. No longer were workers forced to look busy and remain at their desk until 5 p.m. when they finished their actual work 2 or 3 hours before. No longer were managers trotting around the office making sure everyone looked like they were working. What's more is that not only did our work lives improve, but our home lives improved as well. We were able to spend our money on things that we actually enjoyed as opposed to things that just got us through the workday. We were able to spend more time with our friends and family instead of with our co-workers. Many of us were even able to change our work schedules to things that fit our habits, whether that meant working 4 days a week or starting later each day. Now, I do think it's worth pointing out that some people just aren't quite as effective when working at home, and some jobs are just more difficult to do when working from home. But on average, when we look at the millions of people who make up our economies and not cherry-picked examples, most employees are just as effective when working from home, but we are far, far happier. This survey of over 16,000 respondents from 16 different countries carried out by EY Global suggests that half of all employees globally would consider quitting their jobs if they were not provided post-pandemic flexibility. 48% of the people surveyed said that their organizational structure had actually improved over the pandemic, and only 20% of respondents said they wanted to go back to working in an office full-time. So why then has it all begun to change? Over the last few months, we've been hearing more and more that employers want their workers back in the office where they can keep an eye on them. They want them to continue to waste hours of their time each day in traffic and spend less and less time with their families. In essence, they want control over their workers' lives. Apple have announced that they want their employees to return back to their offices by September. JP Morgan have announced that they want their employees to be back in the office by July. It's no wonder millions of people have been saying, "I quit." They've realised that work doesn't have to be so awful, and they want to keep what they've already proven they can make work. These millions of people have been unhappy with their jobs for a long time, and for most of that time, they just didn't think there was a better alternative. They didn't know that they could work from home. They didn't know that they didn't need to commute every day. But over the last year, they found out that they don't have to accept being unhappy at work. Now, I know that I have focused in on office workers here, but this trend is actually being seen across the board. Retail workers, service workers, blue and white collar professionals are all quitting in droves. And their reasons are actually kind of predictable. They cite that they don't want to return to the office, that they've realized they actually want to be working in a different industry, one that they're truly passionate about, or even that they just don't like the people they work for. The Great Resignation, as economists have started calling it, is really just a function of poor working conditions, annoying office culture, frustrating bosses always looking over your shoulder, and a once-in-a-lifetime event that has opened the eyes of millions of people who used to suffer under these poor working conditions. So what does this mean for those who have just quit their jobs or those who plan to quit? Well, the job market is in a very odd position right now. There are an awful lot of people out there who are not entering the job market as a result of the virus. They may have medical complications that make it more dangerous to them, or they may live with or care with someone already sick. But whatever the reasons, the result is a bottleneck on the supply of labour, and that's pushing wages up. There's also an awful lot of people who are choosing not to join the labour market because of the unemployment benefits that are present right now. It's never paid so well to be unemployed, and as a result of that, millions of people just don't want a job. This is another bottleneck on the supply of labour that is also pushing wages upwards. Finally, the economy is trying to make up for lost transactions over the last year. People are spending the money they saved while they were stuck at home. Businesses are expanding, revenues and profits are rising again, and all of this is helping to drive demand for labour, which once again is forcing wages upwards. The chances are you've probably seen far more help wanted signs over the last few weeks than you have over the last year. For the first time in practically forever, there are more job vacancies than there are unemployed people in the United States. Companies need to fight for every employee, and as a result of that, it has never been a better time to be looking for a job. Companies all over the country are eager to sweeten the deal in order to secure labour. What this means is that if your current employer won't let you work remotely, there's a good chance another employer will. It means if you only want to work in an office for 2 days a week instead of 5, there's probably an employer willing to accommodate you. You're more likely to be paid more today than ever before, even when it comes to working for companies that we don't really think of having to compete in the same way. Wages are rising. Chipotle have raised their hourly wage from $11 an hour to $18. That's an increase of over 60%. JP Morgan have increased their base pay for junior bankers by $25,000 around the world. In short, the Great Resignation is here. Millions of people are quitting their jobs every day, and it isn't going to stop anytime soon, so you best get on board. I'd love to hear what you guys are doing right now. Have you thought about quitting and searching for a new job? Have you been approached by a recruiter trying to poach you for another company? Or are you just happy where you are? If you're new to the channel and you enjoyed this video, then make sure to subscribe. If you want to help spread the word, then consider liking the video and leaving a comment, and the YouTube algorithm will do its part by pushing this video out to more people just like you. There are links down below in the description where you can get a guaranteed free $25 from Crypto.com, up to $250 in free Bitcoin from BlockFi, and up to $2,300 in free stocks from Webull. There's also a link to the brokerage that I use most of the time called eToro that you can check out if you want. This is the closest thing to free money you'll ever get, so make sure to click those links. If you want to read up on the Great Resignation a bit more, then I've also left some links to a few articles that are relevant to this video below, so you can click them if you want as well. Thanks for watching. Until next time.